All right, I had to restart this video because my screen went out. So this is my second take, but it was kind of coincidental and coincidental that this happened because one of my good subscriber friends, Chris, asked if I can include snowfall amounts for different cities or different regions. So that's what I will do using um analyses in this video. So we're going to base this off of our 500 heights. And we are going to look at, again, we're going to take this month by month, and we get a global picture of this, which is a much broader perspective, and I like that. So let's do a global perspective of our 500 heights. So starting from, no, let's start from September, because that's kind of the transition from summer into fall. So here's September. And we'll get to all the winter predictions for cities and regions in my own guesstimates later on in this video. But just taking a look at the September pattern, notice how it is very warm and dry. Now, I believe that's because the El Nino has not developed yet. More specifically, the Modiki El Nino. Because when we do develop that, it starts to develop the pattern of cold and snow in October. Then we head into November. It's looking more precise, precise, I guess you can say, because we start to develop a very distinct trough over the southeast. So it's definitely pinpointing a particular pattern setup. Then we go into December, and really things get up and loaded then. Notice we have a trough here south of Alaska. I don't believe that's a bad thing because that will provide us with a lot of moisture into this subtropical jet. So let's take a look at this, January. Again, this looks to be a very cold and snowy month. Again, we have our El Nino very rapidly developing in this time frame, which it would be now a Modiki, and you can kind of see the train line of where these snowstorms would occur basically in the blue. So they would start off in the source region right south of Alaska, head into California, probably dwindle a little bit over the Four Corners in southwestern USA, but you'll get your mountain snows there, no doubt. But when it hits the Gulf, that's when you get a lot of moisture and amplification occurring because it's occurring over the Gulf where it's very hot and humid still. And you can get these big snowstorms combining with all that moisture. So, yes, I'm concerned. One, Gulf snows are definitely a potential, but any Gulf snows, you're going to put the Gulf Coast above average. So, if you really want to look at snowfall in terms of numbers, like for example 50, 60 inches or plus, major snows, you want to look at areas like maybe even Texas, Oklahoma, Iowa, Ohio, Pennsylvania, anywhere from Tennessee to the Mid-Atlantic. Those are regions you want to look for in terms of major snowfalls this year. Let's take a look at February. This is very reminiscent of 2010 winter. We're already seeing the NEO start to very strongly stay negative, which is a very good sign. But here in February, we have this pattern that is very similar to 29 and 10 in that we have a trough right paralleling in under the block in Canada, right in the USA that trough is. So this is a big pattern. Again, you get that source region pumping in moisture from the Pacific, and then you get storms heading south and through the subtropical jet into the northeast. So with that being said, let's get to some snow totals that I'm going to just kind of guesstimate based off of this analysis. So, all right, so places like the Mid-Atlantic this year, um, So I don't know the averages of every city, so I'm just gonna go below or above average snowfall, or yeah. So I'll do the best I can with that. So let's go and start off with let's actually start off with the Midwest. Definitely above average snowfall this winter anywhere in the Midwest, because it's right where you see above the subtropical jet. And the reason being is because above the subtropical jet, you're going to get a lot of cold air combined with a lot of moisture. So it's kind of in a very precise location. So Midwest, above average snowfall this winter. We're just doing snow in this update. Um, Not going to give specific inches, backyard amounts, etc. But second region, we're going to go to Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. I would say in areas that typically do see snow, again, I'm not really counting the Gulf here, but to areas like northern Texas, you do tend to get a lot of snow on in the winter occasionally. So areas like that, areas like Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, I'd say above your average due to the position of the right above the subtropical jet, which will dominate the pattern this winter, and the cold, which will be right above that subjet. Now it gets tricky as we head into the mid-Atlantic and the Great Lakes in the Northeast. Okay, so let's start off with why the Northeast may be a little bit tricky. Because again, we have that subtropical jet. The question is, will we have enough negative PNA, in other words, blocking the west, to support a nor'easter storm track pattern? And that's important because we have everything else, but we need a positive PNA. We need some red colors here in the west, a ridge, because that kind of it basically allows storms to curve directly into the northeast from the subtropical jet. Because let's just say that happens. Let's be optimistic. If that does happen, I'm putting the Northeast also, both interior New England and coastal New England, in above average snowfall this winter. Let's go to the Mid-Atlantic. Again, above average, most definitely. You're right along the subtropical jet with cold air. So this might be a very high precipitable region regardless of how much cold you get. With that being said, I'm still going way above average in terms of snowfall in this region in the mid-Atlantic. Um, and that's in the northern plains, I'll get into, and the northwest. Northern plains, I would say about average, because again, we see a lot of ridging here. We have an El Nino, which doesn't really support a lot of snow in the northern plains. Washington in the northwest is the last region I'll do. In terms of snowfall, I'm gonna say right now below average, slightly below average, not too much below average, because again, it's just not very supportive of a pattern with the 500 heights aligning where they are in the north. In Canada, with those positive heights and the negative heights towards the south, it basically favors these main areas I'm about to mention for above average snowfall. We have the Midwest, we have the Mid-Atlantic, the Mid-Atlantic, the Great Lakes, and the Northeast. Those areas, I think, are your my areas where I am putting my confidence that you will have an above average snowfall season this year. Just to get into details a little bit in this update. So I gave you my why. I used the 500 millibar height pattern to predict who will see above average snow this winter and who will see below average snowfall this winter. So with that being said, again, this is a very broad update. I didn't give specific backyard snowfall amounts like 60 inches versus 70 inches, but I gave you the generalities of it. But I will get into that in my later updates. I will try to have my winter forecast out by around October 1st-ish. So it could be before that, 10, 15 days, give or take. I'm just kind of guessing right now of what my schedule will permit, or it could be after that 15 days. I'm not quite sure. But I will have an official winter forecast. It will be very detailed. I will have snowfall maps and rain maps and precip and temp maps. Thank you all for watching.